what a polynomial looks like is to know how big your polynomial is. So here's what we knew already. And again, I'm just talking and we'll give you a starting point. We did graphs the other day, like a couple weeks ago, that looked like this. And you guys all knew that those were U graphs, right? And we did some that looked like this, and you guys all know, you're like, oh, that's kind of that lightning bolt graph. You were starting to graph polynomials because it turns out that this number right here will tell us the basic shape of a polynomial, right? And it gives us a damn good idea. But we have to remember what that pattern is. And we learned it last year, so I'm going to remind you the pattern. And the pattern goes like this, that when I have any degree that is even, an even degree, and here's what I mean by that. It would look something like this. I'm going to make it f of x is x to the fourth. Actually, let's start here and talk about how the hell do I know what the degree of a polynomial is. There are two ways to decide the degree of a polynomial. First way is, if he's in standard form, we just look at his biggest, oh, I didn't mean that to happen. We just look at his biggest exponent, right? So if his biggest exponent is a 4, he's a fourth degree. That's a perfect way to do it. If his biggest degree is a 7, he's a 7th degree, which would make him odd. If it's 72, what would it ever be? It would be even, right? That's one way. You look at the biggest degree if it's in standard form. The other way to decide what it is to look at it in factored form. And this is our favorite way, because all we have to be able to do is, what the hell was that? Is count, right? So I'm writing this dude out, and I'm going to say to you, what is his degree? Here's how you would figure out his degree. You would take your little finger and you'd go 1. Oh, God, why does that keep happening? Don't do that. You would take your little finger and you would count 1. That's supposed to be an X. 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth degree. But that only works in factor form. Is everybody cool? Factor form you count, standard form take the biggest. So if that degree is even, like this guy, or if this guy, let's make him not a crazy 72, let's make him a nice normal 5. If it is, a 6, if it is even, this guy will look like a W, right? He's going to look like this. Do you guys remember that? The bigger the degree, the more little roller coaster humps he has. He has one less turn than he has degrees. So if it's a 4th degree, it's going to have 1, 2, 3 turns. If it's a 6th degree, watch what it will have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 1 less. But he will look like a W. And what we're going to say is that he will start up and he will end up. That's called end behavior. It would start up here and it would end up here. And we like that guy. He's cool. He's very cool. Now, if it's odd, if it's an odd one, like, ooh, this guy or this guy, right? They're odd. They only have 3rd degree. It looks like, does anyone know? Does anyone remember from last year? Who had me? Do you remember? It kind of looks like a lightning bolt. It kind of looks like a lightning bolt, right? That's what I call it. It's going to look kind of like this action, right? And it's going to have 1 less turn than you have degrees. So that would be a 3rd degree, 1, 2. A 5th degree would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's going to have 1 less. And it looks like lightning bolt. Here's how I remember this. If it's even, its little feet match. They're matching feet. And if it's odd, the little feet are going in different directions. But here's what you need to remember. You need to remember he starts down and he ends up. It is called down up. Here's how I remember it. in life, if you start with very little money and you end with money, that's a positive thing. So it is going, you didn't have a lot of money, and you got some money, but you lost it, but then you had a lot more. That's positive, right? Now, sometimes there is a negative in front of this guy, or a negative in front of this guy. And you know what it does? That's if the guy is negative, it takes our graph, flips them upside down. It flips them upside down. So instead of being a W, it's going to look like an M, right? And the end behavior, we call that down, down, right? And that's negative. Those ones are easy. I'll be honest. The ones that kind of mess with our head is these dudes. He flips upside down. So this, think about a negative situation in life. You were born to a lot of money. Like you're one of those Kardashian kids. But then, you know, you become a drug addict and you lose all your money and you end up on the streets, right? And you know that's going to happen with those Kardashian kids. You so know that's going to happen. So there you go. You end up like that. You know it is. That's just with your dad. So, so that's what's going to happen. And they just might as well put it in, like, you know, other people have college funds, they should just have read funds. Because that's just going to happen. Oh, I'm judging. I am. You know, they put stuff on TV. You get to be judged. You know what? That's what happens. So you go down, down. You start up at the top, but you end down at the bottom. Everybody cool? Now, this is what I want to set right on paper. Because this is going to be our little key to how to do these. Right? Now, I wrote this little thing, the degree, roots, and shapes, for every graph. Kids were asking me, do I have to do that? And I'm like, if you don't need it, you don't have to do it. It's helpful to me. So are you ready to try one on your whiteboard desk, on your paper? I don't care. Here comes our first one to try. Here it is. This is what it looks like. That's our first one. Do it on your desk. Do it on your arm. Do it on your neighbor's arm. I don't care. Let's do it. Step one, I need to know the degree, because that's kind of like, it's like saying to me, we're here in Walnut Creek, let's go somewhere. Which direction do we go? It depends on where we're going. If we're going to Disneyland, we're going to go south. If we're going to Washington to watch a UW game, we're going north. So here we need to decide what our degree is. Our degree to start off, 1, 2, 3. It is a third degree. The next thing I decide is, what's that shape? And I think to myself, that's a lightning bolt. But it's got no negative, so it's a positive lightning bolt. Things are good. Things are happening good, right? So, in other words, it's end behavior for my kids who learn the end behavior. It starts down, it ends up, right? Now, I'm not going to lie, I put that on my graph right away. Because I have a tendency, if I don't know where I'm heading, I'll just add a bunch of terms and it'll be like, I don't know, here's extra ones. So I know I'm going to start down here, I'm going to end up here. And if I don't, I'm in trouble. Now the next thing is, I need to know, if we're going to Disneyland, what towns we hit. And you know what that is? Those are your routes. They will tell you where on your x-axis you hit, because we set them equal to 0. That's what they are. They're zeros on the x-axis. So one route would be -4. That is a town I will hit. One route would be 2. That is another town that I will hit. And finally, I will also hit 5ville, right? So here's what. I am going to drive through these towns. -4, +2, and +5. The reason I didn't make this more of a specific graph is this is just a sketch. And here's what you want to think about. We drive through the towns. We make our turns in between the towns. Are you ready? So here we go. We're starting down here. We're driving through -4ville. Then we're turning. And, oops, I missed that one. We're turning. We're driving through this town. We're turning. We're heading through this town. And we're out of town. You see, I almost missed that one. Okay. Now, we are not going to do this, but for my friends heading to college pre-calc next year or calc next year, how would you know how low to go? I'm going to tell you, if you ever wanted to do it, we're not going to. you would find what is the point exactly in between these 2 points. That is 2 and -4. And you know the point that is literally right in between those two is actually -1. You would take that because the terms happen in the middle. You would take that dude, plug him in, and it will tell you how high to go. It will give you that. The other way is to use technology, right? Are we going to have to do that? No, because we just want to sketch. We just want to know, hey, does my thing look about right? So if I graph it, because sometimes you do this on your calculator, and this is what your graph looks like. You're like, why the hell does my graph look dumb? And it looks like this. It looks like this and this. And you're like, why does it just look like sticks? And that's because you didn't get the whole graph. Okay, are we good? We feeling it? Let's try another one. You guys ready? Here we go. Try this one all by yourself. Let me fix this a little bit. You guys got this. It's going to have an X in the front. Ooh, don't forget what an X in the front is. Jason, are you all the way done with this one? It is a root. What root is if it's got an X in the front? It's a 0. It's a 0. If it's a 1, it would be X minus 1, right? So count your roots. Get your shape and end behavior. Find your towns. Drive your car. It does, count it. Every X you count. Good question. Every X you count. Great question. 1. Still 1. 1, 2, 3, 4th degree. I swear, I don't keep looking over. Who's that little lady there? I know this baby's going to be a W-shaped dude. In other words, it's going to start up and end up. It looks like boobs. We're going to put our little things there. Let's find our roots. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put our roots on here. I've got 0. I got 6. I got 3. I got -2. Do you have to fill that out? You don't. If you want to just go straight to here. So 0 and 6 and 3 and -2. So here we go. Turn in between the towns. Boom, 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 boom. How do you look? I love you. I love you. Do me a favor though. And this is to my friend Jace. This is to you, but not really. Maybe it's more towards the sophomores or the juniors. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said you. It's to the sophomores. Please stay away from boobs. And I mean that legitimately. These are not pointy things like here, like right, like don't do boobs, right? So it's rounded. So I'm just noticing a few people that they'll do this, they'll go this, and then they'll do this. It's like, yeah, don't. They're not boobs, right? They're rounded. It's all rounded. So please don't. I'm not that you're trying to draw boobs, but it's more roller coaster. Roller coaster. Still looks like boobs, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. Ooh, try this one. Got a little negative happening there. Gonna flip your graph. That's right. Now it's like some more kids. Mom, look, teacher told me how to make boobs. Your parents are gonna be like, "What are you listening to?" I'm not, teacher. You're just hard. Parents are like, "Can we listen to your videos?" I'm like, "Good God, no." Some of you are going to be fast at this and be like, see, I have to know where I'm ending, right? So here's what, so I got to put my little arrow to know where I'm ending. Because otherwise, I get lost in the middle of it. It's like, where am I? It's like, I'm on the way to Vegas, right?
Do you count the X's in the front?
You do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5th degree and it's negative. So watch, it's going to look something like that. It's going to start up and end down. Start up and down. Roots are at 0 and 4 and -4 and 2 and -2. Honest to God, I got to know my starting and ending or I am screwed on these. Turns in between the towns. Here I go. Shh, turn. 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 How'd you do? Yeah? Can you wiggle your fingers if you got a good graph? Yeah? Nice, nice, nice. Nice in the back. Okay. Sometimes, though, sometimes you're going down to Disneyland and your husband says, what is the exit for in and out? And you're like, it's the next exit. And as he's starting to take the exit, you're like, oh my God, no, that's not the right one. Get back on the freeway. And he has to cut across like the exit lane and cut people off. It's not a happy moment, but it happens. And we call those bounces and wiggles, right? We're going to call these bounces and wiggles. So we're going to start with bouncing first. And let me tell you what happens on a bounce. And this is what we talked about multiple things. If I have x minus 2, actually, let's make that x minus 3 to the second power. I have x minus 3 to the second power. I really have 2 3's there. And somehow or another, that will affect my graph. Really what that's saying is when I have 1 3, I go through it in one direction. But because I have 2 3's, I am actually going through it in 2 directions. And what that really means is I get to it and I bounce right out of it. I am tangent to 3. So here's what that would look like. If I was graphing this, this is just a U graph. And what I would come through, and look, that's really what's going to happen. I come in, I get there, I bounce right out. It happens with any exponent that is even. Here's what happens if it's fourth. It's still a bounce. I just took a little bit longer to rest there a minute. Like, oh my God, is this the right exit? I don't think this is the right exit. Get off, right? That's what changes. If it's to the 6th, your husband is actually stopped on the freeway, right? So any exponent that is to an even power, it's a bounce. You change, Liam, you change directions. You don't drive straight through. Now that's a bounce. The next thing that can happen is a thing called a wiggle. And a wiggle looks like this. Gentlemen, if it's easier for you just to go to the library, then rather than talk over me, I'm cool with that. I just don't want to keep starting stuff. Okay. A wiggle says this. I am going to get there. I am going to rest, but then I'm just going to drive through town, right? Because it's really what I'm saying is I have 3 3's here. And a wiggle looks like this. It goes there, it rests for a minute, and it keeps on going. We called those last chapter inflection points. And here's what it means. It means you don't change directions. So bounces change directions, wiggles do not. They rest there for a minute, and then they keep on going. Does that make sense? Are you guys ready to try one with some bounces and wiggles? Here we go. Rock and roll with this. We got it. F of x equals x. Oh, let's do that. X minus 2 squared. Oh, I'm going hard. X plus 3 to the 3rd. Okay, we're going to be careful here. We're going to count carefully. Every exponent gives you more x's, right? So let's count our total x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jordan, touch me.
Did you say that bounce change direction?
Yes. So this is to the 6th degree. It's going to look W-ish. And I know I'm going to have some roots there. And watch what I do when I write this for me. I put a little B by this guy and a little W. So I remember I got some weird stuff happening there. So let's see if you can do it, and then I'll do it, okay? So take a look. So think to yourself, you're going to cruise through zero town, right? You're not even, that's not a problem. But you're going to bounce at one place and wiggle. So it's really critical that you start in the right place. Start up and up. And it really is like a map. It really totally does work. Nice and careful. I got a 0. I got a -3 with a wiggle. I got a 2 with a bounce. Want to take a look? How you feeling? Feeling okay? Let's try it. Okay, I come through. I look for the in and out. I don't find it, but I keep on going. I change directions between my routes still. So I head back, drive straight through this town, think I see an in and out, no in and out, turn right back around, head out of town. Look at her. Nice, 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 nice. Yeah, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah. You want to try, like this is a little yucky. We kind of want to make this look like right in the middle there, right? We want to try to make those nice in the middle. Okay, last one, or second to last one. We got 2 more left. I like this next one. Here we go. It's going to be a little scary. You got this. Negative. Let's make that. Okay, there we go. This is as bad as it gets. Count your X's carefully. Watch your end behavior. I mean, this is everything, right? It's got crazy flips, the odd one, which I think is the hardest, and bounce, wiggly. Honest to God, this is day 4 if you were in algebra 2. Algebra 2 class. If you have the 2 trade, this was like halfway through class. Like halfway through one period. It's like going on.
I literally like walked.
And we're going to
And I was
moving on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Upside down. It starts up. It ends down. Your life is sad. It's negative. You had money. You lost money. My roots. 0 with a bounce. 3 with a wiggle. -3 with a bounce. We're going to start up here. We're going to end down here. Here we go. Got a -3, got a 0, got a +3. Okay, deep breath in. I'm driving with my husband. I do really bad navigating. He bounces out. I make a turn in between. We bounce out of that one. We make a turn in between. He says, Dana, you suck at this. Let's just stop and have an argument. And then we keep on going. Nice. -3 is, it comes out as +3. Yep, yep, yep.
So it goes to the left side, it bounces right.
You bounce at 0.
okay, so
Nice. Kind of addicting, I'll be honest. I like a little thing like this. Okay, here we go. We wrap it up. Look, it all comes together in a very pretty package. How about what we did yesterday and the day before? What if it doesn't come factor? Then we factor it. So here we go. Let's factor this baby. I'm going to give you a hint before you start. That's scary. Let's take some stuff out. Let's take out the negative, and let's take out some x squareds. So before we start this baby, let's pull out negative x squared, and then factor it, and you'll be like, so easy. So pull out a negative x squared. It'll make this problem super easy. And this is, we're bringing everything home. There you go. Love the fact. Watch when you pull out those negatives, only have to change those signs. Boom and boom. That's when they're all factors of 16 that make 8. 4 and 4. Which would be a bounce. You can write this as x plus 4, or x plus 4 squared. Look at that. It comes out like a little bounce, right? So let's think about what we know from this guy. He's a fourth degree. Either I got it from him or 1, 2, 3, 4. Either way it works. He's a fourth degree. He's an upside down one though. And here are my roots. 0 and -4, both with bounces. Here's what he looks like. Please don't drop these. How'd you do? Did you do okay? Some cool stuff there. Love it. Your answers will be up tonight in Google Classroom. I have to finish them. I did 2 things for you. I gave you little drafts. You have to fill out the little key thing. You don't. It's up to you. And then I put the problems on another sheet, so you don't have to keep flipping and flopping. So I will pass that out. We are done. You did great. I did not check records. I am checking this tomorrow because I really like these. I like looking at them. So, you know, you roll the dice on the checking of that. Mostly because I love them. I'm going to cut you off.
I was like, girl, what? Excuse me, I'll be back in the
So there was a, look at this.